Out of the blue, Kunos have just announced a new rally title that will be using Kunos physics in the Unreal 5 engine and releasing in November. Thanks to subscribers, I'm at Sim Racing Expo, and in this video I'm going to give you my first impressions, having spent about an hour or so driving Kunos' new rally simulator. Before I tell you my thoughts, don't forget to subscribe so you can unsubscribe when I say something you don't like, and of course a huge thank you to all the channel members that made this Sim Racing Expo trip possible. First things first, and most importantly, the grass and trees are really good in this title. I have to say, the grass probably a 7 out of 10, but the trees absolutely phenomenal. Just look at those logs. Honestly, surprising that this is Unreal Engine and that you've got trees into the distance and this game seemingly running really nice and smooth whilst also looking crisp, even with wet weather, even with the graphics turned on quite high on the rigs at Expo, though I imagine they're probably using pretty beefy sim rigs. Straight to the golden nugget here though, the handling, force feedback, and what is it like to play? Well, in my first impressions, I have to say this is the first rally title I've played that drives harder than Richard Burns Rally. Now, that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing. It probably depends which direction and side of the spectrum that you come at it from. I would say though, on the dirt side, it felt quite natural to drive. The cars are really nice and slidey, they're very weighty, and you can move them around in a realistic fashion. It's definitely going for that hardcore rally simulator side of things. So if you found the previous WRC games to be a bit too sort of springy, a bit too bitey, a bit too easy in some ways, then you'll probably prefer this direction that Kunos have taken this rally title. I would definitely say that the driving approach for this game is one that is way more on the preemptive side. You really do have to load the car up into the corner, get it set up to slide into the corner, and be paying attention to the pace notes like an absolute maniac, because if you're off by a little bit, you're going to slide straight ahead off the track and probably into a spectator. Now, I would say this is brutally difficult at this point in time, and personally I would prefer the tyres to grip back a little bit sooner and for you to be able to drive a little bit more reactively. But it is really fun, and it really does get you focused into that rally experience of paying attention to your co-driver, positioning the vehicle and getting the most out of it. Compared to Richard Burns Rally, which I know lots of people will be drawing the parallels between, I have to say it does seem to me like there's a lot more going on in this than Richard Burns Rally in terms of how you're applying the throttle and how much the throttle pulls the back of the car in and out, and the sort of nuances of the vehicle. There's definitely a lot of depth under the hood with this title, but the downside of that is it makes it a lot less predictable and a lot harder for you to get into that rally zone that you can get into with Richard Burns Rally. I do personally find Richard Burns Rally amazing fun to play, but it's also a little bit plain, a bit like what you find with Automobilista 1 and Netcar Pro and some of the older titles, but then at the same time it kind of all just feels immediate and kind of just works. Whereas some of these newer titles, there's a lot of complexity going on, there's a lot of things happening and things that you have to be aware of, but then I think they lose a bit of the snappiness and a bit of the immediacy and then become incredibly difficult to play as a result of that. Now, the force feedback, here we're obviously at the Fanatec booth using Fanatec equipment. You could feel what the car was doing, you could feel the rear rotating out, you could feel the tyres loading up, the suspension, good track texture, nothing particularly wrong with the force feedback, totally fine. It wasn't most mind-blowing and exciting force feedback ever either, but obviously this is an Expo sim rig, it's been set up in a hurry, so it's hard to really break down and judge things. Same goes with the physics, to be honest. We really need to try this at home on our own simulator to actually properly evaluate it. But yeah, the force feedback actually seemed quite nice, much better than I would say WRC, and probably slightly worse than Richard Burns Rally. But, you know, it's in that good direction of force feedback. It definitely makes driving easier and definitely makes things a lot more immersive. Now, separate to all that, what you can really tell with this title is that they are going for that kunos attention to detail. The vehicles themselves all looked absolutely fantastic, the ones that we'd seen in this demo of the game. But then just the track quality, not just the trees, but the tracks are laser scanned. I'm not quite sure to what degree that works with rally stages, but then just the actual details of the sides of the track, the road surface, where the puddles are, it really does look and feel like a real world location. I think there's been a problem with a lot of rally games recently where they just don't look like real places. They don't, do you know what I mean? Where this actually did. The art is absolutely phenomenal in this. Also, you can see there's been a little bit of inspiration from things like Richard Burns Rally, with the occasional spectator and cameraman on the track that runs off the track. I've been calling for these details for a long time, and it's superb to see that in this title. So, from our little first impressions, and that's what this is, keep that in mind, guys, I think this is sort of setting the groundwork for a next generation of rally simulator, basically, with the kunos attention to detail. I'm going to need to actually spend more time on this. We're going to check it out again today. I'm recording this video at like 5 in the morning. That's how things work at trade shows, and we're gonna go deep dive into it a bit more. So under this video, give me comments of what you'd like me to actually specifically talk about and look into, and I'll read those comments and try and do it whilst we're at the expo in the day. Yeah, it's a really exciting step for rally games. Completely out of the blue. Absolutely out of the blue, this. Was not expecting this. As you guys know, I'm a massive rally fan, way more than I'm a track racer. So we just need more rally games, and it's a happy world. Yeah, leave me a comment on the video what you'd like me to specifically talk about. We'll do it in a video at the trade show today. But Kunos Rally is here. It's very interesting. What a surprise.